breaks a couple of tackles, and look at him go! And look at him go! He could go all the way!
And tonight, the real season begins for the Oceanside Land Sharks, a team that opened up their season this year facing some of the best football teams in the state of South Carolina and facing those teams toe-to-toe, beating all of them except for South Florence, who's now ranked number 1 in 4A, and that one by only 1 point. And then we had to walk through our Region 7 2A schedule, walking over the usual suspects like Bishop England and Academic Magnet and Lake Marion and some of those guys, stumbling a little bit in our last game against Timberland. But tonight, we're going to see the Lee Central Stallions all the way from the land of the lizard man in Bishopville, South Carolina. And let's see how these guys are able to start the playoffs. Chris Swisher here, along with Robert Brunson, that's me, and, of course, Scott Kraftchick, our producer, Tyler Kraftchick, our cameraman. And, Chris, what are your thoughts on this game tonight?
Yeah, Robert, always love these intros. You make me happy. I like how always anticipating something new and exciting. So well done, bravo. Tonight, listen, it's a brand new, it's a new season. Lee Central is 3-6. That doesn't mean anything right now. We're 8-1. That doesn't mean anything right now. I do think you bring up a good point. We started really, really strong against some great competition, but when you get to the region play, we didn't have as good of competition. Sometimes it's hard to maintain that momentum and keeping your foot on the throttle, to play well. So let's see. I heard a good week of practice, and very intense week, very intentional, but we had a lot of guys out with the flu bug. And I know one that we're going to miss tonight is number 6, Bryce Bennett. And I know he's in listening at home. So Bryce, hope you get to feeling better soon. And actually, I think he pawned his weekend job down at the Citadel off on me. I got to do his dirty work tomorrow at the Citadel game. So, but anyway, I think we had a really good practice. I would like to see us come out pretty quickly and establish some dominance. A few stats I can give you. I looked over the 9 games that we both have played. Lee Central has scored 110 points for 12.2 average per game. They've given up, Robert, 258 points. That's 28, almost 29 points a game. Whereas Oceanside has scored 316. That's 35 points per game, and only given up 93 points in 9 games. So just a shade over 10 points a game. So on paper, Sharks stack up really well, but let's see. It's why we play the game every week.
And right now, the captains are meeting at midfield with the referees for the toss of the coin to figure out who's going to get the ball first. We've got, of course, Ben Britton, number 54, along with number 78, Monroe Freeling. Edward Ridenback, number 1, who took over our last game against Timberland and won it in the second half. And, of course, Timmy Castine, number 50, out there for the Sharks. Interestingly, for Lee Central, their 4 players and 4 captains include only 1 skill position player, and that is their quarterback, number 4, Khalif Harry. Actually, I think number 1 may be the captain out there, and I think he's one of their receivers. That's Javon Johnson. But the other 3 guys are the big fellas, Cameron Dinkins, Trent Richardson, number 54, Demarion Dixon, number 55, and number 51, Everett Burns. So now they've had the toss while I was looking at rosters, and what are we looking at, Swish?
Yep, the Lee Central Stallions won the toss, deferred to the second half, so we'll get the ball. And I tell you, most often when I see our captains lined up against the other team, they tower over. But those are some pretty big Stallions out there, Robert. Some pretty good-sized boys.
Those are some big fellas, and I hope I got all their names right. And, the skilled player out there. Their number 1 looks a lot like number 4 on their jerseys, and I'm going to go ahead and make all the excuses right now. We're standing up on the top of the press box with no light, basically, so we can't really read the rosters very well.
Well, we're not at our usual home, right? We're at someplace different.
That's right. We're at the home of the Buccaneers, Charleston Southern University. A very nice field, artificial turf out there surrounded by a track and a good crowd over here, all in the home stands. Hardly anybody from Bishopville, it looks like, made the trip. And here come the Land Sharks. Out of the mouth of that shark down in the left end zone, and I'm glad to see that the shark was able to make the trip.
We got the smoke all situated. It's working. Everything's working out really well tonight. We're missing one of our main guys, Deion Welch. He recused himself tonight. I think he's cheating on us with a little lacrosse with one of his younger sons this weekend, but we hope Logan does a good job this weekend. We've recruited John Cookie Cook to do the huddle, and we've got our main man on the stats, Bill Sandvik, a couple of Navy guys up here. And so if we get attacked on top of this press box, I'm feeling pretty comfortable tonight. We got a couple of talk about Stallions. We got some studs up here.
I don't know. We're so high, I think we might be better off with some Air Force guys. At any rate, the Sharks, who's going to start off with the football? You may have just said, and I missed it.
Yeah, the Sharks are going to get going to receive the ball, and bringing some great camera work tonight is our main man, cameraman, Tyler Kraftchick. We always love having him up here, especially when it means Scotty's not on the camera.
Yeah, put a big smile on my face to see Tyler up here. When I got to the top of those stairs, I thought I was Led Zeppelin on my way to heaven coming up here. And the Sharks are not looking like they're going to be too threatened by the kickoff here. Our deep guys standing on about the 16-yard line. Maybe they're going to drop back a little bit. Usually we've had Will Virgilio, number 13, back there, and I think that's him, along with number 3, of course, Zach Hagedon.
They don't kick deep, Robert. I think all the story is that they do a lot of onside kicking, so that's why you're seeing we're up on almost the 20-yard line. We've got some good hands guys on that front line.
Our last game against Timberland was not one that we really want to spend a whole lot of time bragging about. We got to halftime in that game, and the score was 6-0 in favor of Timberland. As this kickoff goes high and short, Will Virgilio stops and dances before anything else happens.
Flag on the field.
And I thought that
it's going to be an offsides on the kicking team.
As a fire truck roared by, I didn't know if that was a sound effect in the stadium or what. So that's going to push back these Stallions a little bit, make this kickoff even more challenging for them as they try it from their 35-yard line. Swish, I watched the last game on TV. That was a weird experience, I got to tell you.
I didn't like it.
Well, I will say this. The two guys, this from one raw amateur to two professionals, they did a great job. And this is kind of a offsides kick, just kind of a blooper to the 41, where the receiver takes it just across the 50-yard line.
I believe that was number 20, Max Mormon.
And Maxie, who usually is on the defense playing linebacker, is out there on the kickoff team and gets an opportunity to run the football.
Hey, he got a little taste on offense. He got a 2-point conversion up at Timberland. It was great to see Maxie on that side of the ball.
So we're going to have it 1st and 10 in Stallion territory on their 47-yard line. As Edward Rodenbach comes out here, and, man, he struggled in the first half against Timberland the other day, so much so that he took a little break for a while, but that seemed to motivate him, and he came back and really just took over the game, scoring 3 or 4 touchdowns, running the ball. Edward in the shotgun looks over to his right side, but whistles blow before anything else can happen. He wanted to throw it to Trey Brown. And it's going to be offsides or illegal movement against Oceanside. That'll cost us 5 yards. Let's hope this is not going to be the kind of game where there's a penalty on every play.
I'm going to be happy Swish and not the grumpy Swish was against BE. I was just so fed up by the end of that game, I kind of let my own opinions take over. Now, Robert, I promise to be a better pal and sidekick, but I'm not letting you guys bait me with any of this flag and referee talk tonight. Just to let you know.
All right, we're not going to go there. I guess I already did. As we put 2 wideouts over everybody on the right side, it looks like, and oh my gosh, another penalty.
Not going to do it.
Couldn't give us a dead ball penalty, and this one I think is against the bad guys in the gold pants and white jerseys. And that's an offside against the Stallions of Lee Central.
We're 11 seconds into the game. We have 3 flags. Just saying.
Swish, I think you mentioned that a lot of our players were sick in the course of the week. Most of them are back out on the field, but you do wonder if they might be a little bit weaker than usual.
Yeah, you got to worry about dehydration as well, too. It's a pretty cool night here tonight, but
Edward takes it, hands it off, and my gosh, another penalty flag. That's 4 out of the first 5 plays of the game if you count kickoffs. That one's not going to be an offside against the Land Sharks.
So now it's 12 seconds and 4 flags. So we're averaging a flag every 3 seconds of the game. I'm good at math, Robert.
Well, I'm glad you did that one. I would have had to get a calculator.
Get the old abacus out. Old school.
Well, the bottom line of it all is we're looking at a 1st and 15, 12 seconds into the football game. Sharks wearing their blue jerseys and white pants and black hats. We're going to go with 2 wideouts on the right, 1 on the left, and a wingback on the right side. Handoff, I think that's Zach Hagedon in the backfield now. He takes it, crosses the 50, picks up about 5 or 6 yards. And, yeah, that's number 3, Zach Hagedon, starting out at running back tonight.
Yeah, I think you'll see one good news is A.J. Johnson, who broke his thumb on the first defensive play, who's a running back for us, is back. He's cast it up. He'll be playing defense, only no running back, but you're going to see a mix between Tuck Swisher, number 22, and Zach Hagan on number 3. Look for Tucker more up the gut and middle. Zach's more of an edge sideline guy with a lot more speed.
Thunder and lightning. And Swish is out there now, number 22, just to the left of a riding back who tells Trey Brown to move over to the left side. Hand off to Swisher. He picks up 5 or so yards. That's not going to be enough for a first. That'll make it 3rd down, and let's call it 6 yards to go. Perfect night, really, for football. It's not even chilly. It's perfect. I'd say 72, 74, or 72. There you go.
Nailed it.
Dead reckoning.
Nailed it.
So let's see what we're going to do on a 3rd and 6 and 2 receivers either way. We put the running back, Zach Hagedon, in motion. So now we have 5 wideouts and an empty backfield. Edwards going to throw it all the way. It's very close to a 1st down. I think that was Zach on the reception. I'm not sure, though, that was enough for a 1st down.
It's going to be about a yard here.
That's going to bring up a 4th and decision for the Land Sharks here early in the football game. Swisher now coming back out there, number 22. More a short yardage back than Zach. Also big number 77.
Carson Lee
is rolling out there, and he's really a player who we've seen mature over the course of this season after he overcame some injuries from a car accident earlier in the season. So let's see what we're going to do here. 2 running backs in the backfield. Edwards going to keep it. He's got a 1st down. Edward Reidenbach all the way down to the 34-yard line, and that'll be a 1st down for the Land Sharks.
So it's when you see Max Mormon, you see Carson Lee coming in. That's the big, I call it just a jumbo package, but good to see Edward. He's automatic when he gets under center, and he does a great job of finding that hole and getting the needed 2 to 3 yards.
This offensive line of the Land Sharks has really developed into a dominant group as Edward takes this handoff. It's going to be a keeper. He faked the handoff. Edward picks up 3 or 4 yards on the carry. Edward ran the ball a lot early in the season. Then he got hurt at Marlboro County, and since then hasn't run that much until the second half of the game against Timberland last week, where he really just showed out. That's the only way I can think of putting it. That's some Allendale language for you.
I don't think he liked coming out of the ballgame the first half, and he made up his mind to make it happen.
Edward faked the handoff and throwed it. Oh, my goodness, that's another Allendale verb, throwed it. And it was an incomplete pass, though, intended for Trey Brown, I think.
It was Trey. I think he knew that there was a yellow and white jersey right in front of him and kind of tried to look upfield rather than securing the catch.
So now we're looking at another 3rd and 6, maybe 7 yards. Edward takes it, drops back again, wants to throw it. We're checking it a lot. Oh, my goodness, a wide open receiver on the left side. 10, 5, into the end zone, touchdown.
No laundry. No laundry.
And no yellow flags on the play, and I'm not sure who the receiver was.
Big Cole Strickler.
Cole Strickler. I saw his dad, Craig, on the way up here, and glad to see his boy take one in for the first score of the game for the Land Sharks.
I think that's part of the attack against these guys. I was talking to the boys, a few of the boys, and from an offensive standpoint, they're going to get the ball just, the hitches, the slants, the curls, the flats are going to be wide open all night.
It looks like we really aren't going to hesitate to put the ball in the air as Quinn Mahoney kicks one through the uprights for a 7-0 lead, Land Sharks, and we're going to take a 5-second break.
One of the reasons we didn't see a lot of PATs kicking last Friday night was the fact that A.J. Johnson broke his thumb, and he's our long snapper. So we saw at the very tail end, so that's one of the things we worked on this week, and we've got to have that game. I enjoy those two-point conversions, but when a kick with Quinn Mahoney has been pretty automatic this year, we like seeing those. So
the Oceanside tradition of a strong kicking game continues this season with Quinn Mahoney kicking those field goals. We got number 10. Jake kicking the kickoffs for us, and he's doing a lot of the punting, although Edward Reidenbach can punt as well. Edward not doing much of those since he got hurt earlier in the season. And is Jake Rook wearing a different number, or am I just not able to read it? That's number 10, no, kicking it off.
That's number 16.
Okay, so it was a different guy.
I don't know who that is. 16 typically is Nate Sturm.
And the receiver caught that one. As number 15 was the receiver. I'm not sure why they did that, Swish.
I don't know. I think they just did a fair catch and just
No, I mean, why did we do a short kickoff?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I can tell you last week we had a kickoff returned for a touchdown, so I don't know if it's a special teams change-up that we're looking at, but one thing to talk about the Lee Central offense, in the 9 games that they've played, they've only thrown the ball 16 times, so they are a ground and pound kind of a running team. So let's see if we can stop that run here early in the game.
Dominic Washington was the receiver on that kickoff, as the quarterback here for Lee Central hands it off, and really nothing happening there. He probably lost a yard. Number 4, Khalif Harry, is the starting quarterback for the Stallions.
Timmy Castaigne, Maxie Mormon, Big Mike Jones on the tackle there as Jake Rick pulls up Timmy. Oh, Timmy's getting a little extra rest. I don't like it when he lays on the ground like that. It makes me nervous, Robert.
Yeah, me too. We don't want to lose Timmy.
Timmy did a great job. I don't know if you heard on the JV game, he joined us in the booth for a while.
I did hear it.
He was spectacular.
A definite upgrade to the commentary. I was actually watching that game. I thought that was a great idea. Timmy really warmed up to the role. As Lee Central's quarterback, Harry, rolls out to the right side and wants to throw the ball. He had it to his receiver, who was 2 yards out of bounds, but the receiver didn't catch it there, so it's a double incompletion.
We'll make that 17 throws on the year. Just kind of proved me wrong a little bit, but that may say something about what they think of our defense. We're pretty stout. Giving up 93 points in 9 games is a pretty tall order. So
Stallions now looking at a 3rd down and 11. They've got a throwing situation here, and likely they're going to struggle to, as you said, run the ball against this really stout defense of the Land Sharks. We're standing in single file right in front of the ball, and then we fold into our position. We're going to go with 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers. And it's going to be a rollout for Harry. He had a receiver on the left and the right flat, but it was still incomplete, and that's going to bring up a punting situation.
He was going to get motored by Zach Hagedon. He had a full head of steam. Zach almost still hit him, but like the last second did a great job of pulling up and not getting a penalty for a roughing call there.
So with a 4th down and 11 to go, let's see who's going to try and punt this one for the Stallions.
Number 16.
Number 16, and I've got to turn on my flashlight in order to see the roster here.
Uh-oh. And he's...
Oh, my gosh, the ball's now rolling around inside the 10. The Sharks pick it up inside the 5-yard line.
So Maxie Mormon, man, he's already having a big game with with the recovery there on the 1 or the 2 yard line.
And the punter looked like he might have gotten a little dinged on that play. That's Amari Rampasard, who's being helped off the field by his teammates. So the Sharks are now going to have it, first and goal, rather, inside the 5 yard line. They spotted it at about the 3 yard line. Expect to see number 22 maybe taking a handoff here. We're going to go with 2 running backs, a split backfield, 2 tight ends. Edward under center, gives it to Tuck. Swisher into the end zone. Touchdown, Land Sharks. At the 7:42 mark, Oceanside scores its second touchdown of the football game. The first one, I think, was a Zach Hagedon reception for a touchdown, if I recall correctly.
Cole Strickler.
Cole Strickler, that's right. Single-digit guy.
He's the big tall guy.
I know.
Tucker's the little short guy.
I've been watching Cole Strickler play football since he was about 10 years old, actually. He was on a travel team called the Mount Pleasant Mayhem back in the day. 5-second break for station identification.
I got to tell you, Robert, I'm been proven wrong twice. I may have to stop talking. I talked about Lee Central not throwing the ball. They throw it on the second play of the game. And I talk about Quinn Mahoney being automatic, and we just mixed that extra point. So it is 13-0 with 7:42 to go in the first quarter.
So 16 is going to kick it off again, and I wonder if Jake Rook might be – no, Jake is still out there on the field.
Well, Nate Sturm is a soccer kid, so he's used to kicking the ball. He's actually a really good soccer player, so I don't know if we're trying to pooch kick or what we're doing, but
we are.
And there's another flag.
Well, at least the onslaught of yellow handkerchiefs has slowed down a little bit, but we're going to be called for a penalty on that kickoff. I think we were offsides.
Yeah, when you get a new kicker with a different approach and a different speed, I'm sure they practice this throughout the week, but it still takes a little bit of getting used to when you're switching your guy up there kicking the ball.
So this is a new thing, though, for the Land Sharks on our kickoff team to be doing this little pooch kick. Number 15 over here seems to be our target on the left side. Hit twice now. It's been kicked right to him. As Nate puts this one up and yet again to number 15. He's going to try running around the right side. Can't get to the edge, though. We push him out of bounds at the 40-yard line, and that's where the Stallions of Lee County are going to take it 1st and 10.
A.J. Zarzaka had a good angle on that one. He did a good job also running him out of bounds and not pulling him down for a late hit or a hit out of bounds. So good job, AJZ.
And Dominic Washington is number 15, and you wonder, what do our coaches know? Dominic seemed quite happy, though, to take that one and try and run it around the right side. As this run-heavy offense with 2 wingbacks and a running back, and in this occasion 2 wide receivers, they hand this one off to a running back coming right to left, and he's brought.
Attaboy, Jace.
Jace Krafchick, the linebacker, number 12. Has nothing to do with that.
We'll give credit to the D-line spilling and flowing to the right side of our field, giving our linebackers the chance to close and close really strongly like Jace just did.
2nd down now, 12 yards to go as more sirens blare out here. Where is this? Are we in Goose Creek or North Charleston or Hanahan? I'm not quite sure exactly
it's
what
not
the
Somerville, is it?
I'm going to pick Goose Creek.
It's close. I think it's probably closer
closest.
to Goose Creek.
Yeah, right down the way. Down yonder. Is that what is?
That's an Allendale thing.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
2nd down and 12. Quarterback number 4, Harry, rolls out to the right side, wants to throw it, incomplete at midfield.
Good job broken up there by Grayson Freeling and Jake Rook as well.
Javon Johnson, number 1, the intended receiver. That's going to bring up a 3rd down situation and about still 12 or 13 for the Stallions. I don't know why they're not the Lizard Men. That should definitely be their mascot because the legend of the Lizard Man originated in the swamps of Lee County, South Carolina, on the outskirts of Bishopville. A big feature article in the Post and Courier newspaper told the whole story 2 or 3 months ago.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
As the quarterback, Harry, throws this one, it seemed to be intended for our defensive back, but it hit the ground safely, and that's going to bring up another punting situation, which was not a good deal last time for Lee Central.
Hey, just so I don't get in trouble, Charles Southern University is in North Charleston.
Well, I don't know how it circumvents Hanahan because Hanahan's between here and North Charleston. I don't know. Got to study up on my Charleston County geography.
I'm going to have to look this Lizard Man thing up when I get home tonight.
Oh, it's a big deal.
How about the Lee Central Lizards? That sounds pretty cool.
It really does. It's got a little more. I don't know how many Stallions there are in Lee County.
It's a nice alliteration, though.
The punter takes this one and barely gets it off. And it's going to drop at about the 40. Takes a big bounce for the Stallions all the way down inside the 25 to the 22-yard line. And our punt receiver should have probably grabbed that one. But that's okay. We'll get to see the Sharks attempt a longer drive. Our last one was only 3 yards. And that wasn't too much of a challenge for the Land Shark team.
Yeah, great crowd for the Sharks here tonight. And we've kind of condensed everybody right in the center of this CSU stand, and it looks like we've got a great crowd tonight. Look at this. Got Eddie P doing his normal dancing down there. It's a tough trip from Bishopville. There's only about less than 10 folks in their stands. It's a hard trip. We've done a lot of those 2-hour trips ourselves, so.
Edward riding back takes this one. It's a keeper around the left side. Edwards following good blocking. Picks up a first down. Riding back all the way up to the 43-yard line.
I tell you what, that is such a needed threat that we have. You know, with Vaughn Ballou being out still indefinitely, we don't know when he's going to be back. We wish him well. I know he got some good news, got his pins out of his thumb, and but he's now into the rehab phases. But first and foremost, we need Vaughn to be healthy, and so it's good to have Edwards' legs there that are chewing up big yards for us as well.
Maxie Moorman out there on the field now, but this is, I think, a handoff to Tucker Swish.
Yep, they're trying a little inside zone action and see if we can get that established. Listen, 2-3 yards, 4 yards out of whack. That'll get you first downs if you're successful with that execution. But again, when you see Zach Hagedon, number 3, come in, look for him to go stretch and get to the corners and sidelines and ramble with his speed.
Good to see number 63, Finn Johnson, out there at the left guard position. He's been hurt a lot this season. Edward faked the handoff, and, man, he was hit right away. 3 or 4 golden britches were around him.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there on the front line. I was watching the exchange, the mesh, and it looked like we were a little porous up front.
Those guys all came over the left side of our line, which is our strength, of course. Monroe Freely, number 78, the left tackle. Finn Johnson, number 63, is the left guard. Ben Britton out there, the right guard spot. And number 70, Mike Jones, the freshman, is the right tackle. As we're going for it now on 3rd down and 11, Edward drops, wants to throw. I see Cole Strickler over here, but Edward's going to keep it. Easily pick up the first down across the 40 down to about the 35-yard line.
Attaboy, Edward. I like him going out of bounds rather than sliding. There's no need to put your head down on that one. It's early in the game. First down was clearly at hand. So, and I got to tell you, our chain crew is doing a great job tonight. Buddy Bean, Shane Gilchrist, Rob Baldwin, and Matt Stubbs. Thank you, gentlemen, for that. Looking good as ever on the sidelines.
Best-looking chain crew in the state of South Carolina.
No doubt about that.
As Edward fakes a handoff, it looks like a tunnel screen. It's completed across the middle, and, man, we're going to carry it almost a horse collar. Whoa, my goodness.
Jace Krafchick.
Jace Krafchick almost into the end zone. They pull him down at the 1-yard line, and the Krafchick family up here is like, come on, man.
Hey, put him in at running back. Let him finish it.
We'll see. Jace, of course, a great athlete, senior on this team, plays both ways. And he's split out over on the left side right now, and I can tell by the way he's walking he's mad because he didn't get into the end zone. Swisher, though, was in at running back, and the whistle blows or something happens before we can get that play off. Looks like they're going to march 5 yards against the Land Sharks and put it back at the 6-yard line, so maybe that's a passing situation.
Well, what's good about seeing Jace, he's got a bit of a groin issue that he had really not been featured on the offensive side of the ball a whole lot in the last several games. And, boy, we sure miss him with those big plays.
We're going with 3 wide now. Easy to say. 3 wideouts now. Tucker has the handoff into the end zone. And another touchdown for the Land Sharks here with the 4 minutes and 12 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Attaboy swish, but you need to give that ball, and the credit to Jace Kravchuk, number 12. He got us down there. That was a great little tunnel screen. Man, Jace looks like a football player. What is he, Scotty? 6'3", 220. Kid's a stud.
No question about that.
Not like his dad. And I tell you, let's see if we can get this one popped up and in.
Quinn Mahoney puts that one up and through there. So it's a 21-0 score first quarter. And let's take a 5-second break here on the Oceanside. Glad we had that 5-second break so I could find out that the score is actually 20-0, not 21. I think I totally missed that the second PAT attempt was unsuccessful.
I jinxed it. I called Quinn Mahoney automatic, and then he wasn't automatic, but now he's back to being automatic. So
now we're going to do another pooch kick, and this one's a deeper pooch kick to the deep guy. It goes over his head. Maybe we're just faking him out. Oh, my goodness, that thing – they said it went into the end zone, but it was close. If it went into the end zone, it rolled in and then rolled back out. I think that's what actually happened. So at any rate, it'll be the 20-yard line as a line of scrimmage for the Stallions of Lee Central High School from Bishopville.
I'll tell you what here. What are we at 4:12 in the first period? It's, again, this is a good challenge. Feels like on paper, like I said earlier, and the way this game's going, should be a W for the Sharks, but you never want to get too presumptuous. But the challenge here is, can you continue to execute the game plan that Coach Wilkes has put forth? Last week, we were at a deficit for the first time since playing up at South Florence, 6-0, and he came out and said, hey, we're not changing our game plan. We just didn't execute it well. So I think there's going to be a big emphasis on being intentional in execution here tonight.
And it's a handoff to the running back on the right side, and Maxie Mormon throws him down after I think it was A.J. Johnson that was in the backfield and stopped him, but then Mormon came in and closed the deal.
Again, give our D-line credit, man. They are just stringing that offensive line of Lee Central out and allowing our linebackers to come in and feast tonight.
Yeah, that was Timmy back there.
No, I don't think so. I think that was number 9, pretty sure. I had my binoculars on it.
I'm not sure number 9. Is number 9 out there? Swish, back me up. Oh,
yeah, 9 is A.J.
Right.
Johnson.
Right.
He's playing with the cast on his left hand.
All right, for once, I think I'm right on that one.
Don't listen to me.
So we got 4 down linemen. We'll try and keep them straight as it's another run. Number 3 takes the handoff. This time, Timmy Castine is all over him in the backfield. And so is A.J. Johnson, both of them this time.
So now you cannot get that one wrong.
Good to see A.J. out there. He's back in his linebacker position. Timmy, of course, on that defensive line along with Mike Jones and Ben Britton.
I think A.J.'s dad, Reggie, said, hey, we're just going to wrap that sucker up and he's going to be back. That was basically what happened. So great to see him gutting through that injury there.
We got Mormon, Johnson, and Kravchuk. Well, no, A.J.'s at the left end spot. He's not at a linebacker spot. This, at any rate, is a 3rd down in Orangeburg as Lee Central calls a timeout. And literally, 20 yards, it seems. Wando is playing in their first playoff game, losing to Lexington 14-0 in the first quarter. And Bill Sandvik points out that every tackle we've made tonight has been for a loss. That is remarkable. Bill, of course, is keeping our stats as always, which we very much appreciate. The guy hasn't had any food now for 11 days. So God only knows what kind of numbers we're going to be seeing.
He's fasting until we win a state championship. December 2nd, he gets to eat again.
All he's doing is drinking water. It sounds like an interesting deal that I'm not at all interested in.
Sounds miserable, Bill.
He says it's not. He says he doesn't even want any food. He smells it all.
He does too. He can sniff that Poe's hamburger scent from 400 yards away down his Middle Street on Sullivan's Island.
The new Dr. Bill diet. We'll see how that turns out.
Count me out.
So it's going to be third down. Let's call it 20 yards now for Lee Central. Their quarterback, Harry, in the backfield with one running back, and he's going to hand it off, notwithstanding the down and distance. And we make short work of that. Timmy Castine in there along with Maxie Mormon.
Yep. Man, Max is having a great game. He's had a couple of three or four, a lot of great games for us. What a great addition for the Land Sharks this year.
And Swish, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but this may be the most lopsided matchup we've had this year.
Yeah. It's interesting when you look at the pairings from different regions, ones versus fours.
Short punt is fielded at the 45-yard line of the Stallions, and I think that's number 3, Zach Hagedine, who has it down to about the 35-yard line where the Land Sharks will have it 1st and 10.
Yeah, it's going to probably, if we continue this rate, it will go to a running clock situation when you've got a 42-point differential, and it looks like we may hit that before halftime here.
Well, the Sharks may have gotten a little bit of a wake-up call last week playing Timberland, which is probably the second-best team in Region 7-2A. I think they certainly are in terms of performance against.
Hey, they had a good game plan against us. They executed. They really grounded, on the running game was excellent for them. And I think that halftime speech was a little stern.
Edward, low snap, gives it to Tuck. He has plenty of room on the left side. Swisher then cuts it back across the middle, down to the 10-yard line, and a first down for the Land Sharks.
Tried to use the zebra there as a pick. Almost took his knees out. That was actually, the snap was a little low, and so the mesh was, and the timing was disrupted, and so good recovery. I thought Tuck was going to try to get it out to the left side and ramble, but look for Edward to pull the ball on this one here. Let's see what we do.
Tuck had an acre of green over there on that left side, courtesy of those big offensive linemen. Tossed to the end zone. It's completed, but the receiver was out of bounds.
That was intended for Jace Kraftchick there. Good touch on the ball. Rode a little long there, but I think we're going to go try to reward number 12 for that big play he had earlier on the last series.
Hopefully Jace will get his touchdown opportunity before this game is over. We never run jet sweeps this year. I like those. That's one of my favorite plays, and that's one I think of Jace every time I see one because of the jet sweep he ran for a touchdown last year.
Well, we'll talk about that one here after this play's over.
Edward takes this one, another low snap. He wants to throw it. He's mauled in the backfield, though, and sacked for the first time tonight. Well, maybe that's the second.
That jet sweep that Jace scored at the Citadel was about a 40-yarder. I can't recall
That's about right.
Who we were playing against, but it was supposed to go to Zay Offord, and I think Zay was gassed. He said, "Hey, buddy, can you take this for me?" And Jay said, "Absolutely." And he took it, not only from him, but took it to the house.
Give me the ball, Coach. It was a thing of beauty. I think it was either Myrtle Beach or Beaufort.
You're right about that.
So now we're going to go with Tuck in the backfield, third down at about 13 yards. Another kind of low snap. Edward throws it to the corner of the end zone. Wide open receiver. Touchdown, Land Sharks.
Man, Tuck did a great job picking up the blitz from the left side. Gave Edward the time to put that little soft. I mean, it was a beautifully thrown ball. Trey Brown is one of his favorite targets. Good to see those two connect.
Love to see Trey Brown, the tight end H-back, brought into the offense as a receiver. And he was, I don't want to say wide open because it's such a cliche, but That's the only way I can think of to put that.
The only thing he could hear were his own footsteps in that corner. So good to have that concentration and pull it in.
Much more poetic description, as there's an offside flag here. I think this one, I didn't see it, so we might have moved first. Let's see.
No, number 1 on that left side came darting in before the ball was even snapped. He was in our backfield.
That's what it looked like.
I tell you, I'd decline it. Just stay right where we are. You don't want to move any closer and try to punch that thing in.
So hands on the hips, and we take it half the distance to the goal line. So Quinn Mahoney, who's 2 for 3 tonight, is going to try another PAT. It's down and good. I'm going to wait for the hands to go up. So now the score is 27-0, and we're going to take a 5-second break.
Yeah, something to think about in a game like this, Robert, is a pretty commanding lead, right? 27-0 with 47.5 seconds in the first quarter. We've got a lot of football left in front of us, and the goal is to play for another 4 weeks after this, with the state championship game being up at Benedict College in Columbia on December 2nd. So you worry about injuries, you worry about those types of things here. So I would expect to see us here. We'll probably stay the course for the first half, but let's see what happens in the second half as well.
You just made my night swish telling me that the championship is on December 2nd. I was afraid it might be December 9th, and that would have been a conflict for me. My nephew's getting married that weekend. So I'm really glad it's December 2nd. It's not that anybody else cares but me. And it's a deep kick this time to the 10-yard line, where the Stallion takes it across the 20. Nice run back up across the 25-yard line before he's tackled. And a flag comes in.
Max Mormon on that tackle, along with number 35, Jack Waddy. Great receiver and defensive back on the JV squad. Good to see Jackie Boy get a tackle there.
Tyrell Frazier on the return for Lee Central.
Hey, don't you think your nephew would want to watch a little state championship Landshark football on his wedding day?
Hey, let's have the rehearsal dinner at Benedict College. I think that would go over just great with the bride. She's, cool. They put that one just outside of, football season. These people who get married in the heart of football season, I don't know about that.
Yeah, they don't have their priorities straight, do they, Brunson?
You already know who's wearing the pants in that house.
Hey, there's a lot of football brides in this part of the country.
And Lee Central now has a 1st and 10 on their own 41-yard line after that penalty.
I didn't see what it was, and I can't guess.
It was a personal foul on Zach. Late hit.
So Harry, the quarterback, hands this one off to number 6, and he's caught in the backfield and brought down. That must be Ben Britton, number 54.
He didn't really tackle him. He just said, hey, here, you can go down now, and just kind of gently placed him on the ground.
It was a 2-hand get on the ground. Ben Britton, number 54, has really been dominant this season, playing both ways, offense and defense, never seems to get tired. Very disruptive on that defensive line.
He's one of the biggest heart and souls of this squad, both sides of the ball. I'm just glad we get to see him play the rest of this year and next.
And he's small compared to Carson Lee, number 77, who's out there now as well on that defensive line, as is Mike Jones.
Well, the funny part of that is he's not small, but Carson Lee's just big.
And so we're at the end of the first quarter on the Oceanside Sports Network. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
All right, Landshark fans, thanks to Bill Sandvig, the stat man. We're going to go over a few stats after the first quarter. This is staggering, Robert. Total yards for Lee Central, -18. For Oceanside, 162.
Wow.
Number of plays, 10 versus 18. They're 1 of 5 on passing, so they've almost got half their passing total from the season just in the first quarter here. We're 4 of 6. Rushing yards, negative 18. We've got 77. Receiving, we've got 4 completions with the big touchdown to Cole Strickler and also another one to Trey Brown. Penalties, total of 7 so far, 2 for them, 5 for the good guys. No turnovers, a couple of punts. I think the big, we've got 10 first downs as well. They have none. But one of the stats that Bill said, I think it's every tackle we've had has been for a loss, and that's why we've got a negative 18 on the total yards for those guys.
2nd down, 15. This is a handoff to number 6, the running back, coming right to left, and he slung down for about another 5-yard loss, and they're just not getting anything
AJ
done.
and Maxey again.
Tyrell Frazier, no, actually that was Perkins Xavion, I believe, number 6 on that carry. Their numbers are kind of hard to read under best of circumstances because they're gold on white. And if I can find an opportunity to complain about not being able to see something, I'll take it. This year, I'm just glad to have 2 functional eyes, frankly, as we're looking at a 3rd down and a little over 20 yards to go. 27-0 your score. Sharks in the white pants and blue shirts on the right side. Gold pants, white shirts, Lee Central, and a whistle blows. They call a timeout. The offense did, so we're going to have a second to ruminate, and they will have a few seconds to think about what they might want to call here. Swish, I'm glad I'm not the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's going to be a long, tough night for that person, that coach. You know, you kind of, boy, it feels good to lay the wood to somebody every now and then. But I tell you what, you kind of feel for the other sideline, and you want to see some competition. We need to get better, and we need to be challenged. And I tell you, that's one of the good things you mentioned about the Timberland game being down 6-0 at half. We just couldn't get anything going. Had a couple of turnovers. We just didn't execute well. But now it looks like all pistons and cylinders firing together, looking pretty good. So
that Timberland game, definitely the worst performance of the season for the Land Sharks, certainly in the first half. And that's probably because they didn't have their regular live streaming broadcast crew there.
I was waiting for someone to say it, and I think you might be right, Roberto.
So now it's, as I said a minute ago, 3rd down and about 20 plus. It's going to be a quarterback keeper. He has a lane in the middle, but he's hit and brought down after he picked up about 10 to the 40-yard line. So now the punting unit is going to come back out as Lee Central's looking at a 4th down and 11.
Good to see Grayson Freeling step up and make that tackle along with A.J. Zarzaka. As we've got Zach Hagedon dropping deep. Got those red gloves on tonight.
Jake Rook out there on defense now. We're bringing some different guys in there. Actually, it's a punting team, so never mind. And the Lee Central punter puts this one up, and we're going to let it hit. Probably, I don't know, it's going to be okay. It'll stop at the 30-yard line, about where it would have been. So 1st and 10 now for the Sharks. We're going to go and see if we can add to our 27-0 score here at Charleston Southern University, the home of the Buccaneers and the alma mater of one of our co-defensive coordinators.
J-Mac, Justin McIntyre. I wonder if he's feeling a little extra juice being back on his old home field tonight.
J-Mac, if I'm correct, and I'm sure Swish will fix me if I'm not, came straight to the Oceanside Land Sharks from his college career here. Is that right?
I believe that's the case. He also was all-conference. A couple of years he was a linebacker. You could imagine the thunder that guy brings on our sideline. Can you imagine getting hit by him during a game?
So the Sharks now still have Edward Reidenbach in at quarterback. He's handing this one to Tuck Swisher. He's wrapped up and brought down for a very short gain as number 10 or 16, I couldn't quite tell, made the tackle.
18. He was excited and gave Tuck a little extra juice there in the bottom of the pile. But
Jadon Price is number 18, if that was indeed the right number. He's the right defensive end. So now we're looking at a second down, 7 yards, fake handoff. Edward keeps it, has a first down. Edward riding block. He may go all the way. He's carrying a guy with him all the way down inside the 35-yard line.
Virgilio.
And it's Will Virgilio. They did the old switcheroo on the quarterback with me there.
Well, that's a new package that they put in. I didn't even see him going as well either, but there's a new package when you've got Will at quarterback.
Wait a minute, is that? Yeah, that is Will.
Will, and then you've got Zach out there as well, too. So what a great game. Designed run for the quarterback there.
And I was kind of thinking they were going to do that switch, but Edward was definitely in on the prior play, but then they slipped Will in there, and he's now looking at a 1st and 10.
Sneaky. There he goes.
And he's going to go across the 20 down to the 17-yard line. Will Virgilio bringing a different element to our offensive team.
So you see that great job by Virgilio. 2 great runs, shifty, good runs, and basically got us more than halfway down the field. Now you've got Edward and Tuck Swisher back into the backfield, and let's see if we go to the air or keep it on the ground.
It feels like we might want to pound it from here. We got a tight end over on the left side, 2 wideouts to that side, 1 to the right. Edward's going to throw it, looks over to his left. Trey Brown, not tall enough to grab that one. And that's going to make it 2nd down and 10.
Just a little bit out of reach.
Trey was in at the traditional tight end position right up next to that left tackle there, slipped out into the left flat, but Edward just threw that one a little bit too high. 9:18 to go on the clock. We're here in the second quarter as Edward hands this one to Tuck Swisher. Tuck has hit hard. One guy was holding him and another guy came up and hit him. And Tucker didn't get anything there. Now we're looking at a 3rd down and 10.
Good sportsmanship on the Lee Central. There are a couple of those guys pulled Tuck up. I like seeing that.
And we were really moving it with Will Virgilio in there, doing some quarterback running. And then Edward came back out there, and we've slowed down a little bit. One bad pass, and then Tuck couldn't get through that defensive line of Lee Central. So let's see what we can do on 3rd and 10. As the clock moves at the 8:40 mark, second quarter. Edward shotgun, takes the snap, wants to throw it, has a man over on the right side. He completes it. It's not enough for a 1st down. It's down to about the 9-yard line, though. And is that Jace Krafchick?
Nope. That was Cole.
Cole Strickler. I'll never get Cole right. I mean, I'm going to call him somebody. Last time, I think I had him mixed up the whole game with Trey Brown.
Hey, Swish, can we agree that he just calls every receiver Cole for now on?
Yep, I'm okay with that.
It's not intentional, I tell you.
Jumbo package in.
We got a split backfield, handoff to the running back. He's going to take it all the way down into the end zone. And number 4, Trey Brown, with a touchdown, this time from the running back position. That makes it 33-0 at the 8-minute mark here in the second quarter, as the Land Sharks are really dominating here in this first playoff game. We opened our season with Gray Collegiate, a team that has been very dominant in 2A. Last year we were a 3A team, but Gray Collegiate, they were in the finals. I can't remember, did they win it?
They won.
They won. So they were the defending state championships, and we whipped them in the first game of the season. We'll come back and chat some more after we take this 5-second break on the Oceanside Sports Network. So we were talking about Gray Collegiate, who we whipped up on in a home game for us earlier in the season. And if we were to see them in the playoffs, it would not be until the final game, and that would be an interesting outcome to this season.
Yeah, it sure would. I tell you, there's some good ball clubs in that upper state, but in the lower state, you've got Barnwell.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Marion as a number 1 ranked team. Woodland is a number 2 seeded team, but they scare me a little bit. They're a pretty good club as well.
And there's always Abbeville and Saluda.
Yep.
Lots of good traditions here in the 2A. We're kind of newcomers to this scene. And we're going to kick this one off. fairly deep, all the way down to the 6-yard line. And the Lee Central player, number 1, has it. He crosses the 20, the 25, and goes out of bounds at the 30-yard line. And number 1 is Jayon Johnson for the Stallions.
Chased out of bounds by number 2, Tez Spahn, and 35, Jack Waddy.
As our defensive line trots back out there, I see Ben Britton, Mike Jones, Timmy Castine, and our linebackers. Well, there's also A.J. Johnson, who's playing defensive end with a cast on his hand. And our linebackers, it looks like Max Mormon and Jace Krafchick.
A.J. Zarzaka.
And A.J. And I missed an opportunity to say Zarzaka, so I just did. Lee Central, who's got negative yardage to show for their efforts on offense in this game thus far, is looking at a 1st and 10 on their own 29-yard line at the 7:52 mark. Quarterback hands this one off. No, he faked it, faked me out, kept it. He has a 1st down. Number 4 spins all the way up to the 44-yard line. And give credit to the quarterback, Khalif Harry.
First down of the game for the Stallions. Good to see them get one and move the chains. A little bit of life on their sideline, Robert.
He had a decent run earlier in the game, too. That looked very familiar. The quarterback faking that to one of his wingbacks and then keeping it up the middle.
Yeah, I'll tell you, all it takes is one more speed cut, and he catches that sideline. He looked like he could take it downfield pretty easily.
Looks like a fine athlete as he's got a 1st and 10 now for his team, still in their own territory.
Timmy.
He handed it off, and Timmy Castine came flying in there.
He just went right over the top of the guy. He just kind of ducked down and made Timmy miss, but Ben Britton was right there to clean it up.
And the running back was able to eke out about a half a yard, thanks to his quick thinking and ducking when he saw number 50 coming at him.
I would too.
That's what you call survival instinct. So now Harry has a running back to his right side and then 2 wing backs, and that's going to be a penalty, I think. Nope. The wing back on the left side started a little early, but then he went back, and now he takes the handoff, and he's down after he picked up a yard or 2. So now the Stallions of Lee County are looking at a 3rd down, 8 yards to go for a 1st.
A lot of running for a couple of yards there, Robert.
So the Lizard Man legend, Swish, is, I can't remember, I think it was sometime around 1990-ish. Somebody claimed that they saw a lizard man, literally a man who looked like a lizard, coming out of the swamps in Lee County, and that started a whole national media buzz, one of those things that went viral before viral was a thing, as Lee Central has a quick toss over to the left side, and it's going to be close to a 1st down. A flag coming in, though.
Looks like it might be a hold.
Not sure. The flag was kind of late. Also, I can't tell if that was enough for a 1st down. Very close. And it's a holding penalty, you're right, on the offense. So Lee Central is going to have one of their better plays of the night nullified.
Is that part of the South Carolina countryside where they grow any psychedelic mushrooms? Any odd things that would make one
so if you
reportedly see a lizard man?
If you've ever driven from Columbia to Florence, which I've done many times, it's I-20, and you go through Lee County somewhere after you pass Camden, but before you get to Florence, and there ain't a whole lot around there. But the Lizard Man brought a degree of excitement that has never been seen in that swampy area of South Carolina, in the PD region, I guess.
I want to see an artist rendering or a sketch.
Well, I'll just refer everybody to the Post and Courier newspaper. Look it up online. They had a big feature on it recently, as it's a toss to the wide receiver in the flat on the right side. He picked up 4, maybe 5 yards, but that's not nearly enough for a 1st after that big penalty. So now Lee Central has a 4th down, 14 to go for a 1st as the clock moves down near the 5-minute mark, 2nd quarter.
Had a different little wrinkle that we hadn't seen before. They threw a little quick screen out to the sideline. All right, Scotty's got it pulled up.
Scotty, of course, Googled it, and there is the Lizard Man at least a rendition of him. There is no actual photograph. It's not like the Loch Ness Monster where somebody took a picture. High snap to the punter. He's able to get this one off, and we're going to let it drop and bounce. And I don't know, that was kind of a dangerous late decision there by Zach Hagedon to pick it up, but he did.
Just let it go.
So we're going to be inside the 25, around the 24 for another first down for the offense. Last time we switched up the quarterbacks back and forth a little bit. I see Will Virgilio standing over there with the offense now, so he might be coming in here. I'm looking. I see Edward over there too, though. So
4:38 to go in the second quarter. Let's punch one more in.
Coach Chad Wilkes sending his offense out there onto the field, 30 years old, his third head coaching gig, and man, he could not be off to a much better start. He's only 1 point away from being undefeated, and he's ranked number 1 in all of 2A in South Carolina as Edward takes this snap and hands it off. I think that's Swisher. And the ball comes loose, but I think the whistle blew, and it did.
Yeah, he was down.
So there's no gain on the play, but there's also no fumble, which is good, as Will Virgilio trots out onto the field along with Zach Hagedon. So Zach probably going to, as Tuck Swish runs off along with Edwards, so Zach is now going to be in at running back along with Will, the fleet-footed quarterback. We're going to go with 2 wideouts now and a tight end.
They're just trying to spread that out, the field out there, and he's going to gut one right up the middle here on a draw.
Flag, though, before anything else can happen.
Offsides.
So we'll take 5, take that 5-yarder, if you guys are correct.
Robert, want to say hello to the Swisher clan.
All right.
Watching tonight from Mooresville, Indiana, home of the state flag in Indiana.
There's swishers all over the place in my experience.
We are very nomadic.
Another tight end situation for Will. He's running the option. Will Virgilio picks up 10 yards, maybe 12. That's enough for a first down. It's going to move the chains. The new line of scrimmage will be at the 38-yard line of the Land Sharks. 3:38 on the clock. We're trying to put some more points on the board, 34-0. Not enough for the Land Sharks. Trey Brown coming out there a little bit late. He was not in at tight end. I noticed that on those last 2 plays. I think number 20, Max Moorman, instead. We got 3 wideouts over on the right side this time. Still, Virgilio in at quarterback with Zach Hagedon, and he hands it off to Zach. He's racing across the 45 to 40. Zach Hagedon gonna go all the way. Touchdown, Land Sharks, no flags.
I know his pops, Andy Hagedon, is on the sideline catching some good snapshots of his boy running that one downfield. That's a great, great, great run by Zach.
Not sure anybody came close to touching Zach on that run. Great blocking over there on that left side.
Ran with great vision as well, too. When he got second level, he made that speed cut to the outside left sideline, and he was going.
Yeah. Of course, the left side is anchored by 78. Monroe Freeling, boy, we're going to miss Monroe next year. Not want to start looking that far ahead, but he's ranked as one of the top 10 offensive linemen in the country coming out this year. He's committed to the University of Georgia, much to my chagrin. And we made that one. It wasn't the best looking extra point attempt ever, but it got between the uprights, and that's all that matters. Your score now, 41-0. We're only 1 point away from a running clock at the 3-minute mark here, second quarter, and we're going to take a quick break on the Oceanside Sports Network.
Well, I'm gonna give another shout out to old Papa Sal. He's a little banged up, a little under the weather, and I want to tell you to get well. That is happens to be Vaughn Ballew's uncle, and He's always good to watch film and break film down. I think he's watching tonight, so I expected a couple more texts from him and tell me what we need to do a little differently or watch out for this or that. But big fellow, hope you're doing okay and get well and get back home soon, buddy.
Nate Sturm again going to kick this one off for the Sharks. And this one's, again, sort of a semi-deep kick. It bounced off the feet of the receiver, who then picked it up, dodged a single tackler, was able to get past him and up to the 30-yard line. And so that's where the Stallions will take it over again on offense and see if they can move into positive yardage territory at least on an aggregate basis here in the first half. I think they're still pretty deep in the hole.
Well, as Bill Sandvig just pointed out, had I not jinxed Quinn and called him automatic, we'd be at a 42-point differential right now, and it would be a running clock, which...
Well, who's in a hurry? It's a beautiful night for football.
I want to watch football. So
yeah, let's stretch this one out as long as we can.
I want to get better, and I think we'll probably see some Land Sharks, some different ones out on the field in the second half of the ball game here.
Hand off to the running back. He's met by an avalanche of blue jerseys.
Jace Krafchick, Ben Britton on the tackles.
That'll make about a 1-yard loss in a 2nd and 11 situation for Lee Central. Who knows? Maybe the Sharks will get another opportunity on offense here.
Ben's having a big night tonight, too.
Ben Britton, the junior, right? He's not a senior.
Junior.
And so Ben's he's dominant now. Next season, he's going to be even more so. And a great guy, leader of this football team, brings a lot of energy, a lot of vocal leadership to the offense and the defense. As the Sharks are going to try now to stop Lee Central. Their quarterback, Harry, rolls out, throws it on the run on the right side. Number 1 is intended receiver. Had no opportunity whatsoever to make that catch.
Great coverage by Tespon. Just ran him out of bounds. He was on top of him.
I think we're on a running clock.
We shouldn't be.
Well,
incomplete pass.
Maybe it's a 40-point differential. 42 doesn't make a lot of sense as a number for that purpose.
I'm going to have to...
We'll look it up. Somebody will.
Yeah, maybe there's a different set of rules for playoff games, perhaps.
Could be.
Let's see if I'm...
That, in all likelihood, means, however, that the Sharks won't get it again on offense. But it's a 3rd down and 11. Who knows? For Lee Central, their running back bulls his way for positive yardage. He picked up about 5 or 6 on that carry. So now it's going to be 4th down and around 5 for the Stallions from the swamplands of Lee County. I think that was the stomping grounds of the Swamp Fox, Francis Marion, in the Revolutionary War days. And I'm probably wrong, but
I'd put my money if Francis Marion and the Lizard Man got into a UFC cage match. Who would you pick?
I don't know. I don't know if you've seen the movie The Patriot. It's sort of based on the life and career of Francis Marion. It's a heck of a violent movie, but it's a great one. 4th down, they're going to punt it. Clock's moving down, passing the 30-second mark here in the first half.
Our play clock has been at 0 for a long time. I guess
they're just letting it run. I don't know what's going on exactly. Now it looks like they're taking it seriously. They're going to try and take a snap and punt it. Lee Central just wanted that clock to run as much as they could. Takes a bad bounce for the punting team, and the Sharks will have it, but won't really do anything with it because time expires here in the first half of football at Charleston Southern's football field, which for tonight is the home field of the Oceanside Land Sharks in our first game of the playoffs. And Swish, let's just chat for a second or two here after we take this 5-second break. All right, so are we back? All right, we're back. Scott Krafchick, our great producer, updating the scoreboard that shows you we're at halftime here, and Swish is going to go over some of these halftime stats for us, and what a dominant performance it has been for Oceanside and sort of a very unfortunate experience for the gentlemen in the white jerseys tonight.
Well, the good news for Lee Central is they amassed some positive yards. That negative 18 has now turned into 12 positive yards. Oceanside, 301 yards of total offense in the first half.
Very little has gone wrong, really, for the Land Sharks here in this first half.
90 of that 301, 93 came in the air, 208 came rushing. Boy, it's pretty lopsided here. Trying to look at time of possession has been 13 minutes to 10 minutes, so they've had the ball longer than us, I guess. Trying to think, we had 2 touchdown passes, one to Cole Strickler, one to Trey Brown. We've had numerous carries on the ground. Trey had 1. Tuck Swisher has 2 on the ground. And I'm trying to think if anybody else has. What's that, 6? Yeah, that sounds about right. But just a total. Oh, Zach had the big long run. How can I forget that? So, been a complete domination. It went to a running clock. Should be at a 42-point differential. We're at 41. So maybe someone that's out there and is handy with the World Wide Web can look up and see if there's a reason for that. But I really think it's pretty academic at this point. So the real key for me, Robert, is to see how we come out of this first half. Do we try to continue to execute the same game plan but with just a different bunch of Land Sharks? Probably is what you might want to see. But again, I like keeping a little bit of that intensity up because it is postseason, it's playoff, and it's progressive momentum that we want to see from our Land Sharks.
We have one scoring update of interest to many of our listeners, and that is Wando trailing Lexington 31-0 in their first playoff game. So it looks like the Warriors are going to see their season come to an end tonight. We've got a couple of former Warriors on this Oceanside team, including Devin Yard, number 7, who is one of our backup quarterbacks who hasn't seen any action tonight. Lucy Beckham also playing tonight in Hartsville from not too far from Bishopville, is beating them by a score of 22-7.
Hartsville's a good squad. That's a really good team. I'd like to see what do we have a James Island update? Do we have a Bishop England update? Philip Simmons. Let's circle him. James Island is up 13-0 over York. I know they're playing down on in the yard on James Island.
James Island having their best season in a long, long time.
Hey, and they're doing it without their big stud quarterback. Barn.
The War Horses.
You got that one, Robert?
Yeah, I got this one. Barnwell is whipping up on Bishop England by a score of 28-7. And I'm trying to see, is that where is that? What quarter is that? Second quarter? 1 minute ago in the second quarter, it looks like. So that's actually not so impressive, frankly. Bishop England not having one of their better seasons this year. Can't remember what our final score was in that one, but it was lopsided. I'm trying to pull up my scoreboard. But anyway, we can take a break here as these two teams relax, and we're going to relax up here and rejoin you shortly on the Oceanside Sports Network for the second half of playoff football here at Charleston Southern's Buccaneers football field. And we're back for the second half of football here as Oceanside dominated in the first half and leading by a score of 41-0. And it looks like, of course, Oceanside is going to be kicking this one off because we received in the first half, Bill Sandvig is downstairs wishing he had a cheeseburger. But coming up here now so he can keep our stats as we begin the second half. And one interesting twist for the Sharks that we don't really exactly know why, but we've got a different kickoff guy. Jake Rook had been doing the kickoffs all season, but tonight Nate Sturm, number 16, has been doing some interesting things with it. He's done a couple of, actually the first 3 kickoffs were sort of bloopers to one particular guy on the receiving team. Since then, his kicks have been deeper, but still, as you can see from the positioning of the Stallion receivers, they are not going through the end zone like we have sometimes seen from kickers in the past here. So let's see what we do. This is another short one to about the 26, and it's a fair catch. And that's where the Stallions from Lee Central High School will take it over with a 1st and 10 and a running clock, at least at this point in the second half. If they score a point and then it goes under, I wonder, does that mean no longer a running clock?
I don't know. This is going to fly by, though. Hey, something I'll say about Nate Sturm. Pretty versatile, different types of kicks, right? Jake can bomb him into the end zone, but pooch kick, squib kick, put it in a little coffin corner. I like having a little versatility on our kickoffs there.
So the wing T offense of Lee Central is going to continue here with a handoff to one of the wing backs. He goes nowhere. He's hit really hard right at the line of scrimmage, and he lost a yard, maybe about a half a yard as they settle down.
That was Eddie Portelis with a big tackle, along with A.J. Zarzaka.
So we got some reinforcements in there now on defense. I still see Big Mike Jones, number 70, the 14-year-old freshman who plays both ways, offensive line and defensive line, and plays very well on both sides of the ball. But anyway, he's out there. I find him a fascinating player on this team.
I'm going to give you some other updates on the defensive side as well here in a minute, Robert.
After this play, and it's a handoff to a fake to the wingback. The quarterback kept this when he had some success with that quarterback keeper earlier in the game. This time it's good for a little over 2 yards.
Just on cue, that was Big Mike Jones on the tackle along with Johnny Gunn. We've got a Johnny Gunn sighting, along with C.J. Moskos and A.J. Zarzaka. Cale Gilchrist in at linebacker as well. Tuck Swish in on the defensive line. I see Kyle Baldwin, KB21, out at safety, along with Ethan Baldwin, the Baldwin brothers, although they're not brothers, but we can call them that.
Low snap. The quarterback, Harry, rolls out to his right side and completes a pass. It's going to be enough for a first down after the run by the receiver, number 15, and that's Dominic Washington.
And he was tackled by our number 15, Ethan Baldwin.
And we're going to take a 5-second break. And we're back now after Scotty fixed whatever it was that needed to be fixed. And Lee Central has not scored tonight, hasn't really come close to scoring. They have 12 yards of total offense in the first half. But here, with some subs in on our defensive side of the ball, they were able to pick up a first down as Harry, their quarterback, throws it way over the head of his intended receiver, number 1, over on the left side. That's Javon Johnson. So now it's going to be 2nd down and 10 as the gentleman from the land of the Lizard Man. We'll see if they can put some points on the board here at Charleston Southern University, where we are glad to have the opportunity to play on a beautiful artificial turf. But when you're seeing the Buccaneers in the end zones, that's Charleston Southern. They're not having a great season themselves this year, if I am correct. The quarterback faked it, kept it. He picked up 6 or so yards, and that's going to make it 3rd down and manageable for Lee Central. Closer to 5 probably.
They do a good job when that mesh point when the quarterback decides to pull the ball and just go right up the middle. That's where they have their best success so far in moving downfield.
Swish, sometimes when you have a change of coaching staffs, it takes a little while for teams to adjust. But, boy, these Land Sharks really seem to have warmed up to the coaching style of their young head coach, Chad Wilkes, and this great staff he's brought in here, as Lee Central has it on 3rd and 4, and it's going to be a loss all the way back to the original line of scrimmage.
Cole Strickler in on defense with a great tackle. Yeah, I know there's a lot of Coach Chad Wilkes' family up in the Cheraw area. I know Joy's Wilkes' families are listening in, so we're glad that we can bring the broadcast for them. But, man, has he fit in, and he's just doing a tremendous job here. And you can tell he's a man on a mission. There's not a whole lot that lets get into his way of taking game by game, executing game scheming, and going out and taking care of business. He will not be happy unless we get a state title, and I'm going to tell you, that guy wins.
Punter is in there. It's going to be a line driver over the head of the deep back, Zach Hagedon, and we're going to have some awful field position down all the way to the 3-yard line. Great punt by Lee Central.
Well, I can tell you that's probably by design, Robert. If we catch one and run one back, I think Coach Wilkes may be allowing that to happen so we can get a big offensive drive and work on a big 95-yarder here.
Okay. Looks like Devin Yard, number 7, might be coming in here now at quarterback. We talked about him earlier, but Will Virgilia's also in the huddle down there. Probably seen all we're going to see of number 1, our starting quarterback, Edward Reidenbach. And, in fact, it is Devin Yard who transferred over from Wando High School to play his senior year of ball here, and he's quite a good quarterback. He throws it and runs it equally well, I would say. He's in the pistol formation now with 4 wideouts, and he's got some awful field position to start with, and he handed it off to the running back who's going to maybe lose a little bit there.
That was Tuck. I mean, there was a defender in the backfield before he could get a couple of steps off.
So now we're looking at 2nd down and 11. Let's take a look at our offensive line. I see still Mike Jones, Finn Johnson out there.
Charlie Beenan at center.
And it looks like Carson Lee might be at that right tackle spot now. As Devin throws it over to the left side, he's got a receiver wide open.
That's
first down.
That's Logan Hamilton, number 5.
Logan Hamilton with a nice first down reception. And, man, he was completely unattended to over in the left flat. All he had to do was grab it and take off.
Got a good new receiving crew in. He's flanked by Gavin Gaspar on the far right side, Kyle Baldwin and Ethan Baldwin. They like sticking together, those Baldwin dudes.
It took the chain crew a little bit of time to acknowledge my decision that it was a first down. As Devin hands this one to Tuck, I think he gets it up to the 19-yard line. A nice gainer will give us a 2nd down and about 5 yards to go, and indeed it is number 22 in there on the carry. Tuck Swisher done most of the carrying of the ball tonight, although Zach Hagedon has been in there a little bit. And Trey Brown also had a big carry, I think for a touchdown, if I recall. We're going with 4 wideouts now. Devin throwing it all the way. Has all day long to throw it. Has a receiver over the head of number 14.
Yeah, that was intended for Gavin Gaspar. Great protection. He went through his progressions, but pretty good coverage. And he did the smart thing and just throw it out of bounds.
3rd down now. 5 yards to go, 4:20 as the 3rd quarter quickly evaporates here in what is technically North Charleston, we have determined, but somewhere probably closer to Goose Creek. And Devin takes the snap. He looks over to his right side, wants to go deep. The receiver's covered. It's a nice pass. And a flag comes in there. We might have an interference call.
Yep, intended for number 15, Ethan Baldwin. He was well covered, maybe a little too well covered, Robert.
So we'll take it. And, the game started with something like 5 penalties in the first 6 plays or something like that. It was just a bunch of penalties. But it's gotten a lot better as we've moved forward here, and thankfully so, because that makes the game go a lot faster and it's a lot easier to stomach.
Hey, another couple brothers on the field at the same time. Logan Hamilton and Cole Hamilton, our little ball boy. I tell you, Cole's done a smash-up job in his youth football league, and he's playing for the Mount Pleasant Rec 12U Championship on Tuesday night. Scotty?
When you said Cole, I thought he might be out there on the offensive line.
We may have to go watch that young whippersnapper get a title on Tuesday.
That sounds like a plan. As Devin takes it and hands it off to Tuck, he's going to have a first down. Swisher across the 50, down to the 45-yard line.
Attaboy, Swish.
The senior who hopes to be in a military academy, perhaps in Annapolis, Maryland, if all goes well for him next year.
Go Navy.
We hope so. We got a couple Navy guys up here.
These guys up here have been really helpful for him, and he's being recruited to play rugby there. Big rugby game, Army-Navy tomorrow. I'm going to tune in at noon. It's going to be a great one.
Devin faked the handoff, keeps it slung down hard at the 45-yard line, and he didn't seem to have a whole lot of juice with him on that play. I don't know. Didn't move very quickly out of there. So now it's going to be 2nd down and 10 as we hit the 2-minute mark. Sharks leading this ball game 41-0 on a night that's kind of balmy and breezy, around 70 degrees or so. A good crowd of Oceanside fans are out here, not so much. Bad snap over the head. Devin got a good bounce, though, was able to hold on to it and loses a bunch of yards down to the 45-yard line of the Land Sharks. So now it's going to create a very challenging opportunity, and no doubt Coach Chad Wilkes intended for that to happen so that we could try out our 3rd and long offense.
I'm sure we've got a couple of packages or a couple of plays on these 3rd and long, so maybe you might be right, Robert. We're going to try to execute. Let's look for some kind of a tunnel screen of sorts here. That's going to be my guess.
We're going with 4 wideouts. We got a lot of younger guys in there playing now, as Devin, of course, in a total passing situation, decides to scramble. He still has time to throw it, has a receiver and with nobody near him, but it was just a little too far.
Just right over the hands of Logan Hamilton. Logan did a great job adjusting to the scramble. When you're coming from the backside, you're going to stay parallel, but he drifted. Devin saw him, and it was a great recognition, just a little bit too far.
Devin got hit really hard at the end of that play as we bring out, is that Edward to punt it?
It is.
It is.
Old Edward Reidenbach.
So Edward, who poses a danger as a punter, of course, being the quarterback that he is and an excellent runner at that. But I doubt seriously we're going to be doing any of that with a 41-0 lead. And Edward gets it up, and it's a nice one.
Great kick.
He takes a great Land Shark bounce down inside the 10-yard line, rolls and finally down at about the 7-yard line. And we're going to take a 5-second break here on the Oceanside Sports Network as the 3rd quarter comes to an end. All right, the first game of the playoffs, the part of the season we have been looking forward to all year, and I'm standing here with 2 senior dads on either side of me. Swish, his boy number 22, the running back. Tucker has put on quite a show here tonight at running back. His yardage is going to be gaudy, I'm sure well over 100 yards, and Scott Kraftchick's boy, number 12, Jace, is out there as well, and he's had some big plays on both offense and defense tonight. And I know you guys just want to slow time down and let these playoffs play out and enjoy every single second of it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Tuck and I had a conversation that, hey, you never overlook any opponent, and you never know this could be the last night you suit up and play some high school football. So we always want to go towards the goal, but enjoy the ride. It's been a long slug this year, right? A couple of injuries. He had a couple of torn ligaments in his ankle in spring ball. He broke his leg, and he had a medial, an MCL sprain and tear as well, too. So it's been a long road to recovery. But I'll tell you, I appreciate you saying that because I know last year for you was a tough one, buddy. So thanks for enjoying it with us.
Yeah, I was put out of my misery early last season. as the running back for Lee Central has his best carry of the night. Let's see who that is. I want to give him credit. Number 7 is the carrier, and that's going to be Jamarion Slater.
We've got
It's got to be one of those 3.
got some new J.B. Crady, number 53, on that tackle. He's a freshman that is getting a chance to get some good defensive work here. Number 26, Sawyer Bryan. As Bill's probably trying to put these stats in, those guys aren't in the roster there, buddy. So,
yeah, we got a lot of young guys out there. I don't think we have a single starter on our defensive unit out there right now. It'll be kind of interesting to see how these young guys fare as the running back for Lee Central bulls his way forward and has about 6 yards on the carry at the 10.5-minute mark. Third quarter.
Yep, Travis Anderson in on defense. Sawyer Arnold, we know that last name. Sawyer is number 84 with the tackle. That is Carson Arnold's baby brother.
Carson playing for the Citadel this year.
We'll get a chance to see him tomorrow. It's homecoming down at the Citadel. Be a nice big weekend for the Dogs.
Quarterback under center now, which is unusual. And he hands it off again to number 7. That's Jamarion Slater. And he has enough for a first down for the Stallions.
77, Carson Lee in on that tackle. Number 61, Callum Campbell, JV guy. He's played a great JV season. Good to see him in there as well.
1st and 10 now for Lee Central. Hand off to one of those big backs in the backfield, and he's tackled by 10 blue jerseys. Only one of our defenders was not involved in that tackle. So these guys are swarming to the football and trying to keep this Lee Central team with a 0 on the scoreboard for yet another shutout. We've had a bunch of shutouts this season.
I think we've had 5. Is that right, Scotty?
We're 8-1, and 5 of those were shutouts. I think the most points we've given up was 28, and that was in our loss to South Florence, if I'm remembering correctly. They have some miscommunications in the backfield there at Lee Central, and their quarterback, Harry, number 4, runs out of bounds. I think that's him, unless they changed up quarterbacks. It's really hard. I'm not going to keep making excuses, but these numbers, yeah, that's number 4 still in there. The 4 looks a lot like a 1. 3rd down, and he picked up a little bit there, so they're going to have about 6 or so to go for a first down. 41-0 was your score at halftime. That is still your score. It would be 42-0, but for one missed PAT. And the Land Sharks were really able to operate at will on both offense and defense in the first half of this game. And Lee Central calls a timeout. They really would kind of like to keep this drive alive.
So this would be our 5th shutout. We have 4 so far. And the most anyone scored on us would be South Florence, 29 points.
All right, so it was 29-28. I was thinking it was 28-27.
Close enough.
Close enough. And South Florence is an excellent team. They're ranked number 1 in 4A, and their quarterback was recently offered by the University of South Carolina, but he's a Mr. All-Everything. His name is escaping me at the moment. But he got an offer.
Lenore.
That's right.
Lenore Sellers.
That's exactly right. Thank you.
That kid is the real deal. I don't think I've seen a better high school quarterback in a long time. Of course, Sam Hartman is one of our own. He's about the best I've seen, but since then, Lenore is pretty daggone good.
So Lee Central's quarterback, Harry, rolls out to the right side, throws it downfield over the head of his intended receiver, who did not really have a chance to get that one. And these guys, they're not really a passing football team. So they're now facing a 4th down and 6 yards to go against our JV defense for the most part. And they're going to punt it.
I got to give a quick shout-out. I don't know, Tyler, if you can zoom in on the sideline there on the 30, on the guys standing on the track, that's Scott Yerkison, our old trainer from last year. He's the trainer here at CSU, and saw him a few days ago up here when we were scouting things out, and it's good to see old Scott back on the sideline with the Land Sharks.
And it's a nice punt for the Stallions. It goes right inside the 20-yard line where Oceanside's going to take it over just as we pass the 7-minute mark in the football game.
Oh, boy. See who we bring out at the Q spot.
As the ball boy, young Mr. Logan, runs off the field. I talked earlier about the Mount Pleasant Mayhem, a travel team that existed back when my son was around 12 years old or so. There's another travel team now that
our good buddy, the East Cooper Warhawks, and founded by Sean Belcher. They're having a great season. They're in their playoffs, and I might have served you and me and Scotty up to call another game here for those guys.
I would love to do it. Anything for Sean Belcher. There's few guys who've done as much for youth sports, baseball and football, in the Mount Pleasant area than Sean Belcher over the years, and he no longer even has a kid involved, and he's still down there helping kids develop their skills and becoming better athletes and people.
New quarterback on the field. Speaking of helping kids, Coach Sean Belcher was pretty instrumental in helping the new quarterback on the field, which is number 17, Tanner Swisher.
All right, we got our second Swisher out there of tonight.
He's flanked by number 25, Parker Stubbs at running back.
Tanner claps, takes it, gives it to Parker. He's hit by a man much larger than him.
And he didn't have a whole lot of options to do a whole lot of anything there. And we've got Gavin Welch coming in to get a couple of snaps. Dion, I know you're watching, dude, and wish you were here to watch him, but it's good to see Tanner and Gavin mix in and out and get some, hey, you can say they've got varsity playoff experience now, albeit a couple of snaps, but who's counting?
Hey, we'll take it. As we're looking at a 3rd down and 9 situation, so this quarterback is going to have a chance to see if he can throw it. Gavin throws it over to his left side. Oh, my goodness. That one was right into the hands of the receiver who just wasn't able to pull it in.
That was Jack Waddy. Boy, he had him right on stride, too. Jackie was going to be going to the races there.
Yeah, Gavin could not have thrown a better pass than that. And now we're looking at a 4th down and 8 as we hit the 4.5-minute mark as the clock continues to run. The shutout looking more and more like it's going to hold up for
We have
us.
a new punter, number 34.
So number 34 is not on my roster.
Yeah, I don't think he's. Swish might have to.
Swish probably going to have to tell us who that is.
It's Jack Hermans. Jack Hermans, number 34. He's a JV kid and gets off a great punt. Look at that.
Nice punt,
Attaboy,
man.
Jack.
We ain't losing much with Jack. He gets it across the 50, rolls backwards a little bit, so the line of scrimmage is going to be right on the 50-yard line for Lee Central, the Stallions from the land of the Lizard Man. Now they got 50 yards to go to crush this shutout for the Land Sharks.
You know I'm going to have dreams about this Lizard Man now because of you. Robert, thank you.
Well, I'm going to find the article from the Post and Courier. They have, I've got friends of that newspaper, and I know whenever they write something about the Lizard Man, it just crushes the clicks they get. People are so fascinated with that. So the Stallions, in their white pants and white shirts, are going to complete one of those rare passes to number 1. Coming around from left to right, that's Javon Johnson, and he picked up about 2 yards, so let's call it 2nd down and 8 as we hit the 3-minute mark. Light breeze here all night tonight, beautiful weather. We can only hope that next week when we play either Pageland Central or Wade Hampton High School that we'll have similarly good weather. We will again be the home team. And how far can we hope to have home field advantage if we advance, Swish?
Yep, and we've got it through up to the lower state championship. So if we win out our first game, which is this one, next game would be home. The 3rd round would be home, and then we would have to go on the road
Could be a rematch of Barnwell 4 years ago.
I can only hope.
That's where it's shaping up to look.
Harry, the quarterback there, ran about 80 yards and picked up 2 as he scrambled all around. But, of course, I grew up in the shadow of the Warhorses Stadium there in Barnwell, in Allendale.
That place shuts down on a Friday night, does it not?
It does, man. I can still remember going to that game a few years ago, and it was eerie almost, how the town just filled that stadium. The atmosphere was unbelievable high school football, and we lost. And I want to go back, and we got some unfinished business. Let me put it that way. As Harry rolls out to the right side, has some running room over there, picks up 4 or 5 yards, and now they're going to be looking at a 4th down and a few, but likely a go-for-it situation with a minute and a half to go.
That game at Barnwell, we just got off to such the worst sluggish start, and if we would have played one more quarter, we would have won that daggone game. They shut Keegan Williams down pretty hard. They number 4, Deshaun Watson was his name, was it not?
That's right. It's not the Deshaun Watson, but he was enough for us.
I remember sophomore Dana Brunson had a great game.
He did.
Because I think Joey was hurt.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah.
Joey Boston, who was our all-everything, number 11. And that was his final game of his senior season. As there's a completion to number 1, and who is that on the tackle, Swish? That was an excellent tackle.
A.J. Zarzaka. He did that on the last one as well, too. He, as his dad says, he came out of the maternity ward as a linebacker. That kid, little undersized, so was his pops, but his dad had a nice college.
You call his pops undersized?
Well, for a collegiate football player, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
He was,
sorry.
But so AJ he found a way to get on the field this year, and he's worked his way into a great defensive player for us.
Swish, I don't think we're going to need another snap as the clock is down to 20 seconds. We have it 1st and 10 around our own 40-yard line.
Yeah, let's just let this thing ride out and don't even do the snap here. So
yeah, Lee Central's not even coming back out onto the field. So we're going to do the final stats for the football game. So stick around so we can tell you that before we sign off here as this game comes to an end. And the Oceanside Land Sharks get a great start to the playoffs here, crushing Lee Central by a score of 41-0. And all those points were scored in the first half before we had a running clock and put in a lot of our younger guys. We're waiting on the stats thing here to process. My iPad is malfunctioning a little bit, but we're so grateful to have Bill Sandvik doing these stats for us. It really adds a dimension.
Also having John Cook step in for Deion Welch tonight. Cookie, thank you, my man. Tyler, great job on the film again as well. And Scotty, thanks for the production.
Scotty, he ain't right. He's waving a pack of nabs in front of Bill over here. Do you know what a pack of nabs
I can see it. That's not very kind, actually.
Captain wafers with cheese for a guy who hadn't had food for 11 days now. And we're still waiting to see if the iPad is going to sync up. We're getting an error message on it. So if you bear with us a second, we will try and see if we can get the final game statistics. One thing I can tell you, spoiler alert, they're heavily in favor of the Land Sharks.
Well, Robert, it's enjoyable calling the game tonight.
It has been, as the entire season has. We can sort of recap for you a little bit of how things played out tonight. Edward Reidenbach, who dominated the second half of our game against Timberland last week, had an excellent first half for the most part. But interestingly, Will Virgilio came in a couple of times, probably like 5 or so snaps in the first half, and added a great dimension because as good of a runner as Edward is, he doesn't have the quick feet that Will does.
Yeah, very shifty. Will did a great job taking the ball downfield. Okay, end of Bill Sandvig Mortgage. What's our mortgage?
Clear Mortgage.
Clear Mortgage. Clear Mortgage stats. I'm going to give you a nice plug there for the help, buddy. That can't be it. The total offense is still 12-301. I don't. Yeah, I think we might have missed something there. So anyway, here's the final stats. Your Clear Mortgage stats. We had a lot. They had a little.
They had a little. So we will join you next week We're not sure yet where that game will be. It will be a home game for the Land Sharks in the Charleston area. It could be here or it could be elsewhere. We, of course, will let you know through the proper channels, and we will see you then. Until that time, I am Robert Brunson, along with Chris Swisher, Scott Kraftchick, and our stats guy, Bill, who's struggling over here.
Hungry Bill.
Hungry Bill. And, of course, thanks again one more time to our cameraman, Tyler Kraftchick, as well. Have a great weekend.